Hello.
Hi Arun, good evening.
Very good evening, sir. How are you? Please mute your mic, please. Okay. So let's start. So today we will discuss about some practical things, whatever discussed in previous classes. So first of all, this one is known as Object Explorer. This one is known as Object Explorer. So Object Explorer means it contains database objects. You can see here. All these are database objects. We'll tell you the things why we are telling this as a database objects in Object Explorer. So I told you in previous classes there are a file system in SQL Server. So what is the benefit of that? I can show you here in this way. Go to database. Before that, need to understand some connections. First time, whenever you connect your SQL server in this way, this way, you can see here database engine, analysis services, integration services, reporting services, and Azure storage. So in 2017 version, you have options to store Azure database, blob, something like that. But whenever you connect the things, suppose in this way, so you got the pop-up window and there are three things here. One is your database engine, other one is your server name, and next one is your authentication. So you need to understand what is the role of those three things in SQL Server. So first you are seeing here database engine, right? So what is the purpose of database engine? See, so you need to remember this point whenever you work in OLTP database, online transaction processing database, that time you need have database engine. That's it. It means database engine gives you as a functionality to storing of data, processing of data. So whenever you install your server inside your laptop or PC, so that time you need to check in database engine. That's it. After that, there are three components I told you because Microsoft provide you BI tool in free of cost. Whenever you got license version, the same time you will get BI tool. So analysis services, reporting services, and integration services. So these three tools or services, you can say that it is included in MSBI, Microsoft Business Intelligence. So whenever you work on MSBI, that time you need to these three services, isn't it? But whenever you work on database engine, it means that time you are using OLTP database. That's it. Next point is your server name. So what is a server name? So I told you yesterday in previous class, instances. So complete installation of server inside your laptop or PC is called instances. That's it. So there are maximum 50 instances you can create, you can install. I can show you. So Yeah, so there are 3 servers right now in my laptop, but you can have maximum 50 server, name server, but default server always. Why I'm telling this? Because default server always used for production environment, but this server name instance always used for development environment. So browse for more. These options you need to click browse for more and need to this one. So what server you need, you can select here and you can switch. So right now I'm switching. You can see here this time you have one server, server 1, but right now you are switching to server 1 to server 3. So at a time you can have more than one server. I can show you. Click here and go to and hit OK. After that, connect. So 30 seconds will take to connect your server to database. It's a compulsory timeline. But if your server is taking more than 30 seconds, it means some problems there. So how to resolve? I am going to show you some problems. Suppose services, I'm going to show something. It's a very common error whenever you work with SQL Server. So you need to type services.msc. So services.msc you need to type here and go to services. So you need to go to services and then you need to go SQL Server. So you need to search S. So you can see here there are 3 servers: server 1, server 2, and server 3. Very important. So you can see here, all these are in running mode. Sometimes it becomes a stop. You can see here, I'm going to right click here and stop here. This one. I do a stop. I'm going to show something. Why I'm telling 30 seconds is important. Okay, and back to your flip to SQL Server. And once again, you need to connect here. And you need to select server 1 this way. And then need to connect. You can see here, it's taking more than 30 seconds because your SQL Server services has been stopped. So if you got an error, just wait, you will get the error. Yeah. So in this way, you got the error. So you need to remember this network related instance specific. So that's why I told you instance. Instance specific error occurred while establishing a connection to SQL Server. So in this case, you need to cancel out and go to services dot in this way. And then need to go SQL Server 1 this way. And right click and start this way. Will take some time. After that, flip to server. And once more, you need to connect in the same way. And you need to select server 1 and need to connect. So that's it. So this is the way you can have If you got this type of errors, it means your services has been stopped. So you need to type services.msc. It's a very common error. Every time people can get it. So you need to. Okay. So next point is, so you can see here, at a time I'm using two servers. See, at a time I am using two servers. You can see here, server 1 and server 2. But one thing need to see here, 14.0. What is this? So 14.0 means right now you are using 2017 version. 14 means 17 version. 50 means 19 version. So in this way you can identify which version is being used inside your laptop or PC. So this is the way. So 14 means 17, 50 means 19. See, look at this. 15 means 19 and 14 means 17. 13 means 16. In this way, you can identify which server is being used inside your laptop and instances. I think it's very clear. Next point, need to understand about file system practically. Why I told you file system is very important. I told you the architecture related to file system, data file, index page, and all. So there are two files I told you yesterday. One is primary file, other one is secondary file. So inside primary file dot mdf, just a minute please. Yeah, sorry. So I was talking primary files, mdf, and secondary, sorry, mdf and ldf yesterday. So what is the meaning of this? I am going to show you. Suppose your database. So suppose whenever you create a new database, I'm going to show you. Right click and new database. In this way, after that you will get two files here. You can see logical means rows and log. So rows means mdf file, log means ldf file. So if any table has data, so data always stored in rows as a rows format, rows and column. So that's a data file, mdf file, master data file. And file groups is primary, isn't it? Size would be 8 MB, maximum unlimited. Log means, suppose you are going to change data. Suppose you have salary 50,000 you are getting, and after some times you are getting 55, means change. So change data will be stored inside log backup. So in this way, every time if you are creating a new databases, you got two file system, primary and secondary. But primary is always created by automatically, not by users. But users can be created. It's known as secondary file. But how and when? This is the question mark. So I told you SQL Server is based on your memory based, your RAM based. So size may be full. I told you OLTP database always stored in GB. So all the things like data types, your file system is very important whenever you are going to create a database. What data types you need to use it. Need to remember this point. So that's why I'm telling you in this way about file system. So if you talk about the size system, file size, that time sometimes you need to create a secondary file, NDF file, new definition file, new data file. But how? Primary file always created by self, automatically by system. But secondary file always created by users, NDF. So how to create this? Suppose you created a database, one database, anything. Suppose company DB, so any databases you can take example. So I'm going to this. You need to click click here, right click here, any database, user defined database. This one is your system defined. So you need to remember this point. In SQL Server, there are two things. One is related to user defined, one is related to system defined. So databases, system defined databases. Other ones are related to user defined. So I'm going to right click over user defined and go to properties here. And in previous classes, yesterday class, I told you about file groups, as you remember. So what is the file groups? File groups is a content of files, it's group of files. So you need to click file groups and you need to look at this secondary. So I created a secondary file group. You can create also here a file group. Just you need to click add file groups. I can show you fresh data. It's created already. So right click, go to properties and go to file groups. So first you need to create file groups, after that files. So yes, so here in file groups you have only primary file groups. So you can create a secondary file group, add file groups, and you need to give some name like after that you need to click OK. Created. Once again you need to go to this database and need to properties. And this time you need to go to file. First file groups, this one created, and you need to go file. So I'm going to create a file. So you need to click add this way. So here you can see you need to give some name. And you need to change here. So you can see here what you created a file groups. You need to see very carefully. You need to create a file group. You need to select here because inside file groups file will be available, isn't it? So that's why I selected a file group name what created before that. And you can create a, you can increase your size also because you are going to store data secondary, and you can also change your path also here because by default your data will be saved in C program files, but you can change also here location in this way, any drive, whatever you want. So this is the your file system management, and it is used whenever you are going to use with index management to maintain the fragmentation and all the things in the data is synchronized, asynchronized, all things need to do in case of that. So that's why it's important to create the NDF file, how to maintain. So you can select your any drive, whatever you want. This way, you can select your file path automatically by default C, but you can change here in this way. Select path, and after that you need to OK. Yeah. So in this way, you can create a secondary file, NDF file. So this is very important. If if you are working in any company and your manager, your boss will tell you, I need a more space, you need to create some secondary files to store some data. So this is very important. So in this way, you can get the things. If you have any doubts, any clarification, you can ask me, please. Next point, suppose you are going to select any tables. So first you need to switch your database. This way you can switch your database, and this way you can switch. I want to details of all tables. Yeah. So I was telling that suppose if select a database in this way, and you want to details of all tables at a time, so select star from sys dot tables. In this way, so details of all tables you can find out. What is the object ID, what is the principal ID, what is the schema ID, and when it is created, user defined table, something like that, when it has been modified, all details you can get in this way. Yeah. Suppose You are selecting like this way. Select star from employee. And you select your employee. So you can get the details. In this way, you got the details. What kind of data types is used, what kind of identity, seed or increment, because whenever you work in company, real-time scenario, nobody will tell you what tables, what things is being used. So in this way, you can check out. So shortcut key is you need to select tables. And after that, you press Alt F1, isn't it? So with the help of Alt F1, you can get the details about the tables. In previous one, you got the details about collection of tables inside that database. So this is the real-time scenario. But with the help of syntax query, how can get? exe sp underscore help and your table name. After that, you can get all details. So in this way, there are two ways you can find out. Either Alt F1 or execute. So without execute, also you can get it, no problem. Execute means store procedure. If you have word like this way, that's it. So some basic things, important things need to understand about the instances, file system, and getting the details of tables and all. After that, move to next point. What is the next point? Next point is here. Suppose if you have a plans, like if you want to be a data analytics or data engineer, data development, SQL development, whatever. What is the things, main things you need to cover, need to learn, and which way you need to understand. So data analytics plus development in this way. So in first phases, anybody, either you are looking for data analytics or development. In first phase, you need to understand introduction, installation, like instances and database engine and BI tools components and all. And next one, three components like after installation, you need to understand about database design concept. It's a very important. If you are looking for data analytics or database developer, you need to have good idea about database design. I'm going to show you one example, one, two, three examples. What kind of things you will get in database design and what to know in this case. So you need to know about the relationship. And yesterday class, I discussed about DFD and EFD. So DFD was related to front end and ERD means entity relationship diagram. So entity relationship diagram is very important whenever you are going to design your databases, because OLTP database designed by database developer. That's it. So that's why if you are looking for database developer, so you need to have good idea about database design concept. So I can show you one thing here. See, in this way you will get the diagram in a real-time scenario, and this is known as ER diagram. This is known as ER diagram. So how to get which one is entity? Entity means table. How to get? With this picture, the question is that how to get? So very simple, I am telling you. Wherever you are seeing as a rectangle, it's an entity. That's it. Wherever you are seeing as a rectangle, like a student, course, lecture, subject, all these are entity. So in case of ER diagram, first step should be identify the entities on your diagram. First step. Okay, where is my entity? But question is that how to identify the identity? So identity always as a noun. Whenever you have noun in your diagram, you need to understand where is noun. A student is a noun, course is a noun. So all is your entity. So first step should be identify your entity: student, course, lecture, subject. After that, because you know every entities has some attributes, some properties. So what is attributes? Attributes means in real time scenario in SQL Server, it is known as column, your field. So what is a field here? You can see here all these are, if you think that, you can think that all these are fields, but no, there are different fields, different things. You need to understand. There are different kinds of attributes here: single value attributes, multi-value attributes, composite attributes, and derived attributes, isn't it? So how to identify which one is single value, which one is your multi-value, which one is your composite, which one is your derived? This is the question. So I'm telling you, first step was to identify your identity. After that, second step would be identify your attributes. So here are all attributes, but I told you there are different kinds of attributes. So first you need to find single value. So what is the single value? Like a student name, course ID, uh, age, hobbies, date of birth. But you can see here, some attributes have some different representation, isn't it? Like a student ID is underlined, age is dotted line, hobby is double oval. So what is this? I will tell you. So single simple representation of oval is just like a single student name, course ID, that's it. But underline means it's a primary key. It's a primary key. Student ID is treated as a primary key. Means student table, it's an entity. After that, you need to create something like that. I can show you just. So your entity means table. Entity means table. So entity first you need to create here. What? A student, right? A student is your entity, and what next? Your student ID, primary key. So whenever you are creating a table entity with the help of ER diagram, you need to identify primary key, unique key. You need to have some knowledge about keys concept. That's why I told you during designing of databases, there are different things you need to know, like a keys concept, like a constant concept. like a normalization, like a relationship, right? One-to-one relationship, one to many, many to many, all things need to remember. After that, you are able to construct your, you can design your databases in proper way. So student ID is your primary key. So what do you mean by primary key? You know, as a database DB. In this way, you need to have some other simple column. But what is address here? You can see here. So address is a composite attributes. Why I'm telling this as a composite attributes? Because address never can be stored as a single. Because in address, like a city, a street, pin, door, first floor, second floor, in this way, address has. So that's why it's a composite. Composite means more than one. So composite key also known as, you know, in primary key, foreign key, unique key. Same way composite key also there. So composite attributes also in entity relationship diagram. So address is your composites. So you don't need to store as a address in this way. It's wrong. You need to store like city, then door, whatever your company, your manager will tell you according to that. But you need to remember this. Before that, you have some relationship. Which table will come first, which table will come later on. Will tell you. It's depend upon your relation. So in this way, composite attributes always stored. But what is your age? Age is dotted line means derived. Derived attributes means it's coming from other. Like age is always calculate on the point of time. It means what? It means suppose your age is 20 years right now. After 10 days, 20 days, you will change. So you need to calculate every time. So that's why it's a age. So age is not considered. You need to give date of birth. You cannot write as a column as a field age. So that's why age is dotted line means derived. Next point is your hobby. What is hobby and double oval? It means this will be created as a separate table. Why I'm telling this as a separate table hobby? Because you need to understand here. Because suppose you have different hobbies. Like I can play music, I can play cricket, I can listen music. So I have lots of more than 1, 2, 3 hobbies. So how to store our different hobbies in a single column, like a normalization concept. That's why I told you normalization concept during database designing is very important. So you know, as a normalization concept, atomicity, atomic value, first NF. You cannot store data as a comma separate, something like that. So that's why you need to create a separate table, and you need to connect with your primary key and foreign key relationship. So this is the scenario, and you can see here relationship. How can, like one to many, many to n, n to m. So there are three kinds of relationship: one to one, one to many, many to many. So all things are important to whenever you are going to design your databases. And finally, you need to, in this way, you need to convert in this way. So you can see here your hobby table is created separately and connected to a student, because I told you before few seconds, you need to understand the parent and child relationship. You need to understand the relationship, referential integrity. One terminology is used in SQL Server, referential integrity. What is referential integrity? It means parent and child relationship. how to identify which table will be parent table, which table will be child table. Because if you don't have idea, you cannot create the table separately with help of ER diagram. Honestly, I can tell. So one thing I will tell you, parent means what? Papa will come first, then child will come. This is the real fact and real time example. So father will come first, child will come later. Means if you have students, then you can have hobbies, isn't it? If you have students, then you can have a course. If you have a student, then you can have a lectures. If you have a means a student is your parent. So you need to create parent table first, isn't it? So you can see here a student ID is a primary key. This one, it's a primary key. And look at this, course ID is a foreign key. Why I'm telling this foreign key? Because course ID is coming from course ID. Look at this way. So that's why parent will come first, child will come later. If papa is not there, child is not. It's a real time fact. So that's why you can, in this way you can understand parent and child. So parent table always have a primary key, child table always has a foreign key. Definitely you can see a student is your parent, so this is primary key. But you can see here course is also a primary table, means parent table, because course will come first. Course will come first, after that a student will come. Suppose I don't know about SQL, why people will connect with me? No, never. So course will come first, means course is your parent table. So that's why course ID is, look at this, your primary key. A student, after that a student will come, but inside a student, look at this, a student is taking the reference from course table, isn't it? In this way, course ID. So course ID is your foreign key because it's taking reference from course table parent. Because suppose during your study time, if you study in your college, so that time you need money, so you need to ask your father or mother. So it's depending of something like that scenario, you can understand. It's depend upon. That's why I told the referential integrity concept. So the whole scenario we can see, and study hobby is a separate table because hobby is related to a student and a student is related to course in this way, and course is related to lecturer, and lecturer is related to subject. So you can think in easy way in real time, whatever going on in real time, that's it. It's a EA diagram. And this will be table, this will be table, this will be table. So there are 5 tables from this diagram. You can see here there are 5 tables from this diagram you created. Look at this. So to get the exact things about ER diagram in good way, you need to understand all some few concepts like non-relation first, then relationship, then integrity constraints, then primary key, all keys like unique key, alternate key, composite key. What is the relation one to one? When I need to create them. After that, you are able to create a ER diagram in this way. So one example is here. Other, I'm going to show you. Look at this. So which table will be created first? Just you think. Yeah. So this is the sales database. It's Amazon, Flipkart. In this way, you need to create a design a database. Whenever you are going to work as a database developer, so you will be given as a scenario. You need to design. So you need to understand all the concepts. That's why I told you need to have good knowledge in SQL Server. As a database developer, you don't have idea about how to design a database. It's a bad news from the center. Okay. So this is the whole scenario about your database designing, and it's a brief concept. 2-3 classes need to understand about the ER diagrams properly because it's depend upon the concept, na? Like a primary key, foreign key. So you need to understand. So keys concept is very important. So what is keys concept? How to understand? Suppose some people say that primary key, some people call unique key, some people alternate key, some people say that super key, and someone says like sorry composite key. Okay, so what is this? You need to understand, and someone is called foreign key. So very simple. I will tell you one thing, and after that you can have an easy way. Look at this. I am going to tell you. Suppose ID, SSN number, name, city. You can see here there are fields here. ID and SSN are unique, isn't it? So whatever you have unique column name, you need to remember this. Whatever you have a unique column name, ID or SSN. So this is known as sorry, one key is left here. Uh, so this one is called, I think I'm forgetting one terminology here. Sorry. Give me some time. So alternate means whatever you have your unique ID and SSN, but from ID or SSN you need to select one. Suppose you are going to select ID as a primary key. Okay, so primary key you selected as a ID. So SSN what will be? It's converted into alternate key. That's it. Suppose you have 3 unique value, unique column name, and you are going to select as a one primary key. So the rest of will be converted into alternate. Super and composite. Composite means suppose you are going to create the uniqueness value more than one value. So what is the real time scenario? In case of your train reservation, you can think that your bogie number, your seat number, coach number, and after that you combine after that creating a unique. So this case is known as in real time your composite. Composite means you are creating the unique value to combine one more than one column. That's it. And other is your super key. So what is super key? Super key means primary key, alternate key. All these are known as super key. And foreign key means it takes a reference from primary key. Means suppose I told you one example before, a student, course, and a student, isn't it? So course is your primary key, means parent table because course will come first. A student will take reference. So inside a student ID, In this way, student ID your primary key. After that, what reference is taking from this, from parent table? It's known as foreign key here. So in this way, you are creating a reference from parent to child with the help of your keys concept. So this is the things you need to understand about the keys concept. That's why I told you, if you don't have keys concept, then you can't design your database relationship. So what the things you need to understand here in this way, that's why I told you we need to. So first thing is that installations, introductions part. I told you yesterday class. Then installations, database engine. After that, designing. I told you the concept brief in brief manner. After that, some concept related to keys and all, whatever. And then move to your commands, basic commands, DTL, DML, DQL, DCL, TCL. All these are related to commands. And if you got these commands in good manners, after that, move to your queries part. How to write a queries. This part completed means first phase completed. You will get one project. After every phase, you need to do projects. After that, you can get good knowledge. So completion of first phase, you need have to move queries part because queries related to your commands. Database related to your design, filing system and all. Schema. I told you a schema is a security management. I have given you one example yesterday, building and floors and all. After that queries, and what concept need to understand about the queries, how to write the complex queries in an easy way, I will tell. After that, move to complex queries, simple complex queries, and with the help of Windows function complex queries. And if you have a simple queries with complex queries, after that you will be able to design your reports with the help of queries. How to? It's very important. Like a pivoting and all, like a Windows functions, whatever, lead and lag, on all the things. So many more things. After that, database objects. In the starting time, I told you database object discussed. So database object, what is database object? I can show you. So database object, you need to go to Object Explorer. After that, any database, user defined database, you need to click here and tables, views. So views, if anybody asks you what is database object, so means views, function, store procedure, all these are database object. Why we are telling this as a database object? Because if you write some queries every day, suppose every day you need to write a queries, and after that you come to your office and once again you need to write a queries because you can't save inside your database server permanently. But database gives you a functionality to store a queries, that queries whatever you written permanently with the help of views function store procedure. But there are different things when, how, and how to use it, in which conditions you need to know. So that's why database object, and that's why I told you the architecture: data SQL server, database, file system, a schema, and you need to know about the naming convention. Naming convention. Why naming convention is important, I will tell you. I have shown you before few seconds ago about instances, more than one instances with the help of browse for more. So I tell you why this is important. Suppose you are working in different servers. Suppose you are working server 1, I am working server 2. I need server data 1. I need data from server 1, but I am on server 2. How to this is possible? This is possible due to linkage server. And linkage server is created with the help of name instances. That's why I shown you there are two instances at a time. See, this instance and this instance. So whenever you create in real time linkaging, so you need to naming convention. What naming convention? First you need to write server name, after that database name, after that schema name, after that table name. That's it. So there are 4 parts of naming convention available in your SQL server. If you are fetching the data from one server to different server, suppose in reporting time you need to create a views, and with the help of views, so views can be created from the different server also, one server to other. So how to connect? With the help of naming instances, with the help of naming convention, 4-part naming convention. That's why it's important. You need to give them in this way. First you need to give server name, then database name, then schema name, then table. This is the way. This is the way, and this is the importance of name instances. That's why I discussed, and this is the way to manage your servers at a time. 50 servers maximum. Sorry. So this is the whole scenario I'm talking this. After that, database objects, I told you. So these two phases are very important for data analytics. Some people say that I have an idea how to write queries, but how to complex queries with the help of Windows function, with the help of views and all, how to create. All the things you need to know. After that, if you are looking for SQL development, that time you need to database, advanced database object also. Before that, I told you database object, but it's a very simple objects. But SQL development, you need to know more advanced database object concepts, programming concept. But in SQL Server, only while loop support, dynamic queries, some other important concept need to discuss, and other parts is very important for interview point of view. Indexing, index management, query optimization, statistics, maintenance plan, query optimizations, all these things need to know. So you need to know in this way. If you can, definitely after that you will get the job, 200%, no doubt. So you have to think how much you know and how much you need to know. So if any doubts, any clarification need, let me know, please. I'm waiting. Please go ahead. Please go ahead. No doubts. Okay. Thank you, all of you. Thank you.